All right, hello YouTube. This is the Nerdy Tribunal. I'm Derek. I'm joined with Victor, Tom, and Ernest. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the news on Jessica Chastain. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Don't care really. Casted in the new Dark Phoenix movie as basically not Dark Phoenix. That's all I know. Because we know Sophie Turner is Dark Phoenix, so that's about it.
Yeah, she's Jean Grey, but Jessica Chastain, we don't really know who she is, really.
They said, like, the Skrull Queen. Everybody thought she was going to be Lilandra from the Shi'ar Empire when she was first casted. Which made sense because she has that more regal, royalty kind of feel to her.
Do you think that if she is to give that big triangle hair thing?
I hope so.
Oh, that'd be so awesome. Triangle hair.
What was that?
The worst.
Triangle hair. Shut up.
But it's like...
I always thought it was her hair.
Well, it was confirmed that they are going to have Kree, right, in the Dark Phoenix movie.
Oh, good. Yes.
Apparently, yeah.
That's
so
nice. Like
it would make sense for her to be some sort of Kree. They said something. They gave her a name and they just said, "Oh, she's Smith." Where obviously everyone thinks of Agent Smith from Matrix, but
Smith.
a lot
What
of
are you
people.
talking about? I think of Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
No one thinks that. You say Smith. Just Smith? No.
Yeah.
It was like Cher. The only thing was Cher. There's one Cher.
That's true.
Anyways.
Will Smith.
Off topic. Anyways. Movie.
So you kind of think maybe she could be an agent of some sort, and then she's hiding as a Skrull because the Skrulls are basically.
Well, if you're talking about agent, then
stuff.
the only person that makes sense when it comes to agents is Agent Brand.
Yeah, they could easily change it, right? Or it's just a new character, but it's still a Skrull that's hiding as an agent.
Kind of crappy for them to cast someone like her and just say like, here, his original character is like blah. When you have an entire
Fox.
like,
it's Fox, man.
It's pre-Disney Fox too.
It's pre-Disney Fox.
It's still pre-Disney Fox until someone signs that paper.
Until it's all completed. But.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult to decide or figure out who she is though, because you know
so
she's gonna be someone big.
Yeah, but it's been so vague about it that there's no mention at all, no costumes, nothing. Right?
So in terms of the MCU, I know that the Fox movies aren't technically included in MCU, but we're talking about just Marvel in general. The Dark Phoenix story is it basically considered like a cosmic story, or so it's basically out in space, right?
Yeah.
So hence I guess the introduction of the Skrulls and the addition of Kree into the storyline kind of makes sense. But how does this rub up against Captain Marvel? Right?
We know the Kree is going to be involved in Captain Marvel for sure. Yeah, she got her powers from Kree. Marvel is Kree. And we know that the Kree will play a big part. We also know the Skrulls will be a big part in Captain Marvel as well.
So how confusing... I know the movies... I don't know if the movies are coming out around the same time or not. But like, how confusing is that? Because I'm already starting to get confused with you guys mentioning Skrulls and the Kree in a different context with a different character, and now technically a different production company, right? Like,
yeah, it gets really confusing for people then, because if you're gonna watch one and you watch other, you're definitely gonna be like, what's going on here? Like, why isn't this connected to this and that?
I'm hoping that Dark Phoenix does well, and maybe MCU just says, hey, we can actually somehow add Sophie Turner as Jean Grey into our universe, and the whole Skrull thing kind of can work somehow.
Because the thing is, the Phoenix Force has always been an entity that kind of crosses all the multiverses, right?
Yeah.
So, what the Phoenix that you see in the 616 in the universe in the comics is the same one you see in the Ultimate Universe. They never had
a single entity.
Entity throughout the entire. So that is one way to pull her and like Sophie Turner as Jean Grey and the Phoenix into the MCU. But I guess you can always say it's like, oh, one universe and another universe, and have that kind of, so you don't have that conflict between the two.
Yeah. It also helps that we've mentioned before, casual viewers, they don't really look at a lot of these movies as intertwined until you see same characters from different franchises or movies together. So a lot of people don't think about Iron Man 3 being related to Thor Ragnarok.
True.
Until you see Thor and Iron Man in Avengers or Civil War. Well, I guess Thor wasn't there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it might not confuse people, especially because if it's the Skrulls in both Captain Marvel and Dark Phoenix, they're not a main character. People will just forget them.
And is Dark Phoenix in production right now?
We've seen some artwork, but I don't know.
Because it'll be like, I think, like, personally speaking, like when if I watch all those movies, if the Skrulls look different from this in Dark Phoenix versus Captain Marvel, the Kree are pretty easy. They're blue, right? Like, I don't think there's too much. You can kind of mess around with that just a little bit. It's not a big deal. But it feels like it could be pretty bad if the Skrulls look one way in one movie and Skrulls look completely different in another movie. Well, because if, like, my next question was going to be, like, do you think, if it's not in production yet and the deal gets signed off, do you think Kevin Feige will put his hand into this? Like, just even for creative, like, just for creative, like, direction, not the actual, like directing and producing of the movie.
It's highly possible because we know that the MCU does want to go more cosmic in next arc or next part
phase,
of the,
right?
Next phase. So if they're going to be stepping on toes on what their liberties are, then I can definitely see Feige coming in and be like, no, this ain't happening.
Or like,
problem is the deal is not fully.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's going to take a long time for it
done
to,
or processed or whatever with the government down in the States there. That I don't think he's even able to be a part of it. So I can see it being just thrown out, where any Fox movies are not going to be a part of the MCU other than maybe something like a Deadpool, where you know that it, because of the whole fourth wall thing, Deadpool makes so many references that it doesn't matter.
He can get away with it.
He can get away with
he
it.
Has
but this one, it's kind of like you can't really throw him in.
Yeah.
But the thing I can see as well is, like, even though the deal's not done, you can definitely pull Feige as more of like a creative advisor.
Consultant, right? Of some sort,
And he'll be like, no, this kind of conflicts with my plans. And
or just in general, the storyline doesn't make sense or anything, right? Yeah. So I'm very interested to know, like, because it's such a weird timing of it, right? Like, this movie has been announced. I don't know if they're in production. Maybe they're in pre-production, or they're actually in production. But like the timing of everything can.
People are casted for sure.
So. Dark Phoenix started production.
October.
No, around June, July.
Oh yeah,
last 2017.
Okay.
Release is November 2nd of this year, 2018.
Oh, okay, so it's done. So it's done.
It's probably done in post-production.
So I'm okay. If it's in post-production, then there's nothing can happen, right? So I wonder now. The other question is, and I think this will be the last kind of topic we should really touch on, is do you think Kevin Feige, if say the movie does well, and it kind of makes sense, how likely is Feige going to pull that into the MCU or pull it in?
Man, it's so hard.
Talking about likelihood, like just the likelihood of doing it, like from a business standpoint.
I read somewhere he said that I don't think he has an issue with, or someone at Marvel said something about they don't have an issue with combining certain things, but I think it really depends on what it is. Like I said, Deadpool might be okay, but something like the X-Men Apocalypse franchise, that world, might not be able to, because there's so many things they've already done with it that, like the Quicksilver issue, you don't want to add that
Quicksilver
in.
Issue.
That's kind of done already.
The good thing about Sophie Turner as Jean Grey is that you don't really recognize her from Apocalypse. She was barely a thing in that movie, so people won't remember if they added her.
The thing is, you don't even need Sophie Turner. You can just pull the Phoenix Force out and just put it into someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because there have been other people in the Marvel Universe that had the Phoenix Force, right? You had Colossus, Cyclops, Rachel Summers. You have so many people you can actually have the Phoenix Force and still have that the cosmic entity and all that pulled in without having to cast the same people. So
I see it being less likely for them to pull the Fox franchises into MCU than actually taking them.
Or just say multiverse.
And people are just like
that'll be too confusing by then.
Well, let's see what Ant-Man does with the concept of multiverse first, and then
I feel like it's just yanking us.
Yeah, that'll be pretty. I don't know. Anyways, that brings this topic to an end. If you guys have any ideas about what Jessica Chastain's gonna cast as, please let us know in the comments below. Also, let us know what you think about Disney eventually pulling, like, should they or should they not be pulling Fox movies and storylines into their MCU. I'd really like to know what you guys think. So please follow us on our social media, like and subscribe to our video, subscribe to our channel. I'll get that right someday. All right. Other than that, thanks for joining us and have a good night. Thanks.